Christ, I'm knackered. Okay, there's still a couple more hours for dinner, and so it's time to relax and... I didn't know anything room service.
Not any services that I would provide, anyway. Are you Ryan Hollinger?
Yeah?
Do you make YouTube videos?
Yeah?
Oh, thank fuck. You have no idea how many rooms I have to check.
Yeah, well, the Ryan Hollinger convention is the highlight of the year. What the fuck are you doing here? And where'd that camera come from?
Oh, that would be me.
Where'd you come from? Did you wash your hands?
Oh, you've not been in a hotel room since you started making videos, have you?
No?
It's the code. The deep magic laid down in time immemorial.
2008.
That when a reviewer enters a hotel room, then another reviewer can enter and make them do a review.
We're kind of like vampires. You invited me in.
And what are you doing here?
Oh, I have a camera. It's nice not being the one bothered for once.
So, going to conventions must have been hard when everybody was doing this.
Yes.
The living envy the dead.
It was great. I annoyed so many people.
So, then what are we reviewing?
See, I figured we should watch something from your neck of the woods.
Oh hell, it's not Belfast, is it?
No. It's the Boys from County Hell.
Don't know that one. But sure, why not?
The Boys from County Hell is a 2020 Northern Irish vampire film, a remake of a Northern Irish vampire short film of the same name, based on the legend of Abhartach, the Irish vampire. Basically, Abhartach is one of the OG vampires, one of, if not the oldest, dating back to the Celts. Abhartach, which means dwarf, was a sorcerer and a warlord who died, rose from his grave as a vampire, and when he was finally put down for good, the site became known as the Giant's Grave.
So wait, a sorcerer vampire called Dwarf was buried as a giant. That's the most Irish thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, I guess it is. Except for maybe, getting pissed on Guinness and Jamesons and stuff, while kissing the Blarney Stone and getting condescended to by an English person, Brian.
Or thanking the driver when getting off the bus.
Yeah. Anyway, Abhartach rose from his grave each night and stalked through his former lands, demanding and taking blood from the people he used to rule. The people eventually had enough of this shit and asked a hero to kill him. The hero is either the giant Finn McCool, the giant from the Giant's Causeway, or a guy called Cahan. The hero stabs Abhartach and buries him, but he keeps getting out of his grave, so he consults a holy man, a druid in the earliest versions, or a saint in the later ones, who tells him to stab him with a yew tree branch and bury him upside down. This works. And it's earliest known example of the old stake through the heart trick.
To be fair, there isn't many things that wouldn't kill.
True. At least not in this dimension. Anyway, the site where Abhartach is supposed to be buried is located just south of Coleraine and east of Derry.
So we could go see if he's really there.
We could, but I doubt that filming ourselves trespassing, desecrating a historical site and possible grave, and uploading the footage to YouTube would be the best use of our time.
We wouldn't need to film it.
Yes, we would. You might unleash a vampire that will destroy the world.
Yeah, let's not.
What I don't understand is why famous giant Finn McCool, who according to myth created both the Isle of Man and Loch Ness when he kicked the ground, needed to use a bit of wood to put him down for good. He could have just eaten him or chucked him into Scotland for Ben and Donner to sort out.
Ancient myth writers were fucking hacks. Anyway, this came out in 2020, and as per usual, we open with the idents. Thousands of them. I'll skip the boring ones, like this one that feels like an instruction, an ad for a local lens flare emporium, the one that died in an Akira Kurosawa film, the Culci Tesseract, the other Culci Tesseract, a German industrial dance group logo, the one that's trying to be eye-meltingly literal, and of course... Whoops! That was all of them.
That was some good skipping.
Took even longer than just letting the idents play.
The opening chords of the score sound Southern Fried, which has a slightly different meaning in relation to Northern Ireland, but I'm talking about American Southern Fried. This might sound a little odd to most people, but Northern Ireland adores American Southern rock. It's one of the many, many authentically Northern Irish things about this film. Another is the dialogue. It opens with some wonderful nippy cheekiness.
Wait a second. Minion, turn on the subtitles.
Who, me?
Do I have another minion here?
Fair point. Subtitles activate.
What are you doing?
Oh, sorry, it's a running joke in my show. I subtitled the Northern Irish characters, though I haven't done it in a few years.
Oh, so more of an ambling joke than a running joke. Not me, you bollocks!
This is awful trash.
We could have a wee drink in the Stoker.
That place is full of degenerates.
They play music, imbibe spirits, and believe in evolution in there.
I love how the quiet quaintness ominously and really suddenly gets sucked out of the scene, along with their literal blood. It's such a visually striking backdrop to what's going to unfold.
And also a common reaction to watching Give Me Head Peace. Well, looks like we'll be finding out what happened in there in a couple of months. We're in for a very long review.
These shots of some tourists approaching the small town of 6 Mile Hill,
Not a real place, by the way.
are a clear love letter to the opening of an American Werewolf in London, with the tourists alone on the land, though they're Canadian in this.
Not a real country, by the way.
I was going to say that.
Cry harder.
And it's all beautifully mashed up with some Ennio Morricone sounding western-tinged music.
It's a massive improvement over most Irish films putting those fucking fiddles over everything. Wait, is that meant to be the grave? That's the worst dolmen I've ever seen.
That's not a dolmen, that's a cairn.
What is this? A dolmen for dolls? A dolmen is an ancient Irish tomb. They kinda look like giant stone tables. Side note, but Craigavon Strangford Lewis was Northern Irish, so I'm just realising that Aslan's death in Narnia probably happened on a dolmen. I mean, it's a tomb that was supposed to be a gateway between our world and the other world, the afterlife. Anyway, the actual site where Abhartach is supposed to be buried is topped, not with a gnarly looking pile of shite like that, but a large, flat stone. As though they built a dolmen over him and then buried it, just to keep the fucker double buried.
I don't think I've ever heard anyone get so angry about stone before.
Clearly you need to hang out with more dwarves. In fact, this site is so clearly a dolmen in real life that the Killjoys threw in Google Images, insisting on calling it one of its other names, the Slahavari Dolmen. Anyway, Stoker? Never even met her! Stoke is an insult in Derry, which is not far from where this is set, and Louisa Harland is one of the stars of Derry Girls, so be a dear and call that a reference.
Bit of a roundabout reference.
Bit of a magic roundabout reference.
No one cares about your Swindon jokes, Brian.
I do.
Same again, please, Claire.
No.
What?
Thomas told me to cut you off until you pay the account.
One of his best customers.
You have the biggest tab, but a customer actually pays.
If I'm honest, I'm not much of a fan of the performances. They're rather stiff, as though the actors had been told to slow their speech for the benefit of non-local audiences. Plus, the editing should be faster, they should be talking over each other.
On the other hand, it's one of the few films that really captures the personality of Northern Irish people.
So why don't you go back to work for your dad if you've no money?
Jeez, rather scrounge off you, mate.
Most Northern Irish non-drama stuff tends towards the pantomime. But this cast really feel like the sort of people you actually meet there. Case in point.
Alright, so after I made a whole thing about how the performances suck. Thanks.
Well, you didn't need to thank me, but if you want to give me some kind of financial remuneration, to show your appreciation rather than just saying it, you can.
Let's get this done.
Although the dialogue itself is rather spot on, the terminology is there, the flow just isn't. And Louisa Harland, she gets it. How can someone from the south have such perfect delivery?
Do you know, I ask myself the same thing every fucking day.
Must be practice. So on with the plot, the Canadians have finally caught up with the cameras and have arrived at the pub.
What do you reckon, Germans?
Germans would have more sense than to come here and look at a pile of stones.
They're Canadians. Canadians love wearing maple leaves.
They love not being mistaken for Americans even more.
Yeah, especially when America's being particularly shit.
Which is always...
Nah. Anyway, after a quick reference,
You gonna tell us to stay off the moors?
to make sure we all got the earlier, longer reference, and an equally quick geography lesson,
This is Ireland, lad. There aren't any moors.
the guys, William, played by a guy who was in Hawkeye and Rebel Moon for some reason, and Eugene, played by a guy who wasn't, lead the Canadians to the grave.
Most people don't even know Bram Stoker was Irish, or that he got his inspiration here.
This film mostly gets the facts and the legend about Abhartach right, but this is one of the few bits where it kinda doesn't.
We might as well get something out of the fact Stoker came here. Pillaged our legend and...
Bram Stoker might have taken inspiration from Abhartach, but it's not definite. And if he did, he didn't travel up north to do it. In fact, maybe the only thing that Stoker took less inspiration from, ironically, was Dracula, Vlad the Impaler. He was going to call his vampire Count Vampire until very late in writing, when he found a reference book from Romania and borrowed the name and a couple of very minor details.
Our lad Abhartach, he was Niamh Nuri, which is Gaelic for...
Undead?
You've done your homework anyway?
Yeah, she loves this shit.
That guy is a real cynical ballbuster. That's a relationship I cannot see ending well. The lore is fascinating, he could at least humour it. Remind me to complain if he doesn't get killed later on.
Since then, no one's at the balls to move his grave.
That's not quite true. According to a legend, some guys did try to disturb the tomb. It resulted in their equipment breaking, them getting maimed, their blood being swallowed by the earth, and a general lack of evidence that any of it happened. But to be fair, that might have just been a particularly vigorous old atmosphere.
The story of Abhartach is the first story ever written down about a blood-drinking creature. And he's buried under there.
It's a pile of rocks in a field.
I'm not in love with the design of the car, and it just screams over-designed horror movie, sort of like the more recent Pennywise or the Annabelle doll from the Conjuring movies. It's signposting that's meant to be ominous or scary, and it just has the opposite effect.
Plus, it looks like a butt plug.
I need to know what kind of butt plugs you're using.
Ryan, please. Not in front of the children. He's English, he doesn't understand such things. I'll tell you where you can buy them later.
My dad owns this land, and I'm telling you, there is something underneath those stones. Some things are older than science. Older than God. The earth has its own secrets.
If it's not in frame, it doesn't exist.
This is SP, the Hiberno Nick Frost. At least that's the intention, but he's just not funny enough. So he's more like a dim-witted life support system for a beard.
Just hung you an old hand, huh?
You fucking pricks!
Come on. No point tramping all the way out here, not getting a bit of a scare.
Haven't you guys got anything better to do?
Nope. No, we don't.
That's weird. I figured she'd spotted him hiding and was in on it.
Try it.
Seems like the sort of thing a doomed couple would do to each other.
Bet you dumps them before they even get back on the plane.
Anyway, theme song reached. It's time for a celebratory drink. The title is Belfast Propaganda.
I mean, County Derry's existence technically counts as Belfast propaganda.
Fair.
Yep. Yep. Mm-hmm.
They rolled a dice to see who would be the main character, and Eugene wins, so we're stuck with him while he's stuck in a kinda depressed, aimless rut, while everyone around him tries to move on with their lives. Honestly, I like the concept more than the execution.
But there is something very truthful about him. Men will choose to go live in a dilapidated corpse of a former house rather than go to therapy.
Why did you sell this old place on?
I wouldn't have wanted it sold.
Aye, and she wouldn't want to see you buried when the whole fucking thing tumbles in around you.
But to be fair, this could just be an obvious commentary on house prices.
Living upside down, buried under a rock, is looking pretty good right about now.
The house was his late mum's, probably uninhabited since long before he was born, so it's kind of crumbling. Anyway, this is Eugene's dad, Francie, played by professional Irish, hey, it's that guy, actor Martin O'Neill. He runs a local construction company and has some big news. He's taken on the contract to build a bypass that'll destroy Abhartach's tomb and throw Eugene's best friend William's family off their land.
Dad, you're putting William and his parents off their land.
Actually, son, I was thinking you could put them off their land.
I was thinking that you could run the job.
The family that destroys their local community together stays together, because everyone else drives them out of town with torches and pitchforks.
I'm just wondering where this bypass is going to and from, because the two biggest cities in this part of the country, Derry and Coleraine, aren't cities. At least not really, and there's a direct road between them. So why would this place need a bypass? This town isn't real, but here's a map of the area around Abhartach's grave.
Do they really get a lot of traffic going from bumfuck to bumfuck east?
Maybe all the Abhartach tourism is gumming up all the tiny country roads, and driving the bypass straight through his grave is their way of making doubly sure it stops.
So, in other news, Eugene finds his first crop of skulls.
You a farmer now?
In most countries, finding a caved-in skull buried in the wall of your basement would be a cause for alarm, but in Ireland, that's just mise-en-scene.
William and Louisa Harland have come for a ride home, and honestly, this film really falls into a weird sweet spot for reviewers. It's too good to heavily take the piss out of, and slow-moving enough that there's often not very much to say.
Nobody scored except your man here, 15 points.
How does it feel to go out with the wee king of the town, Claire?
Oh, yeah, makes me feel like a queen, so it does.
It's just pleasantly meandering, like a van in a drone shot. It's forced me to do an actual film review. Kinda.
God forbid a film reviewer do an actual film review.
Okay, I will. Back to the jokes for me, then.
This part of the film really is a low-key drama, and it's kinda weaker for it. None of this is bad, it's just not exciting yet. It turns out that William's dad, who owns the land that's going to be destroyed, is also the town undertaker.
Well, there is something hilarious about your dad being an undertaker.
God forgive you.
The town's only undertaker, and he works from home.
When do you have to be out?
2 months.
That's actually an incredibly realistic depiction of Northern Irish governmental neglect.
Yeah, what's next? A new law that makes it illegal to die within the town borders?
No, Stormont wouldn't be in session long enough for that to pass.
Far more red shit in the ground under my shed. How old do you reckon that is?
People are usually in better shape when they get to me.
Eugene is so enamored with the skull, he's going to make it his mascot. Bring it with him from place to place like a less deranged Davis Oraney.
No! What does his dirty old head doing on my kitchen table?
I wonder if there's a polite way to ask whether his mum might have been a serial killer.
I know this sounds stupid, but do you reckon Ma's house is built on some kind of historical site?
It's Ireland. Everything's a historical site. Even the trees.
Especially the trees.
It probably belongs to some poor herd like you. They had no walk and starved to death.
You gotta love words of wisdom from Francie. A man of few words, and most of them abusive.
Take it easy on the sauce tonight. But mass in the morning.
You know, I'm not that surprised, but I really thought Eugene would be a bottom.
That place is full of degenerates.
I'm leaving 6 mile home.
Where are you going?
William is planning on upping sticks to Australia, easily the most realistic and human moment of the film.
What are you going to do there?
But they build roads and houses there too, you know.
Big sharks about the balls off you too, though.
Look, sure, I can't swim.
Life moves on, people grow apart, dear friends come to terms with how their friendship will change forever, and most importantly, everyone in Ireland knows at least 12 guys who say they're moving to Australia and can't get as far as the next fucking pub.
I'm just waiting for the right time.
So, drunk as fuck, William and Eugene cut through Abhartach's field in a shortcut to get home.
Why, looking at Australia's well original. But I suppose you'll fit in with all the other wankers who think you're too good for a home.
It's odd. I was led to believe this was a comedy, or at least a horror comedy, but so far it's a weirdly somber film about feeling trapped in the monotony of rural Ireland.
Stop being a coward and tell Claire. Right, Will?
Oh, and now murder cows too?
He was just a red rag to a bull.
Red flag to a bull.
Red hand to a bull?
Okay, we gotta stop there. We're not gonna top that one. Unlike the bull!
That place is full of degenerates.
Red mist bullet gives you wings. Yeah, William's dead. And just like the story about the workman, Abhartach's tomb is apparently lined with Tampax. So, shit's officially got even dourer.
He said he wants to take the body home. We'd only be bringing him to another undertaker anyway.
You still will. That building's about to be demolished to make way for the bypass. In other news, the worst tragedy yet's about to hit Eugene. He's being barred from the pub.
Find somewhere else to drink, Chief. Not only do you get William killed, but you're doing the job that is going to ruin this town.
This is honestly a little confusing. He was killed by an escaped bull, so how could it be Eugene's fault?
The two of you should never have been in that field.
Plus, that field that they apparently shouldn't be in is also the town tourist attraction. The same town tourist attraction that the barman is pissed off about losing.
I heard you're even going to toss the cairn. It's one of the only fucking reasons people come to this town.
Allow me to sum up the barman's complaint. How dare ye be in the field that my livelihood relies on people being in, and I'm pissed off because people won't go to you anymore.
Thank you. He was barred for two reasons which don't make sense together, and one of them doesn't even make sense on its own because he was killed by a rampaging bull. Honestly, it's as though the barman is just pissed off about the bypass and is haphazardly adding anything that might stick, which, to be fair, is realistic. People aren't always logical, but in a film, it's usually hard to tell it apart from bad writing.
I wouldn't drink the piss in here anyway.
I wouldn't want to drink in any establishment that would let me drink in it anyway.
It's good for a man to have standards.
Eugene decides to try and honour William's memory by actually getting out of town and making something of himself and finding a purpose in something more than getting drunk and feeling to fix up a house. It's a good idea and leads quite organically into him taking the job to head up the bypass project, creating this symbolic break from the past, recent and ancient.
Perhaps the most unrealistic part of this is there's not a pile of goths, historians, archaeologists, folklorists, and more taking turns being a human shielder on the tomb.
You can't win, you know. You can't lie in front of the bulldozers indefinitely.
I'm game. We'll see who rusts first.
It's a historically and culturally significant Celtic site, and it's not like there's a lack of other pieces of land the road could be built. And unlike in the real world, people actually make a big deal out of it in the film. It's a tourist attraction, the only one for miles, if you don't count the big-ass rocks or grass.
How long you know you're the host doing this job?
Don't toss this cairn, Eugene. You're not fucking cut out for all this.
Eugene is so lucky the rest of him's so calm, or those eyebrows would have already kneecapped him.
I wonder, does this kind of warning ever work in a movie?
Well, maybe in a choose-your-own-adventure film like Return to House on Haunted Hill. Letting you end the film early and do something meaningful with your life, like wonder why you watched Return to House on Haunted Hill.
But Eugene does toss the cairn because he needs the money to escape and make his break from the past, and perhaps most of all because that cairn and a bull killed his friend.
I'm actually kind of surprised the bull didn't take it out, to be honest.
I'm actually kind of surprised that William's back didn't take it out, to be honest.
I'm actually a bit disappointed some fucker didn't jump out and try and bite her necks.
Okay, that's just an average person from Cork's main experience of visiting Belfast.
Just can't see you in Australia. But William I could see in Australia. I don't blame you for what happened to him.
Why would you? Why is everyone this so obsessed with forcing guilt onto Eugene?
Maybe everyone else is just bitter that he's the main character.
Sure, this film is spending a lot of its time up to its neck in the ennui of grief, but this is a horror comedy, which is why it's about to reveal that Eugene's mother might have killed herself.
Of course!
Did you ever figure out if...
Yeah, she meant to do it.
Aye.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's some good horror and or comedy. He should probably be glad they don't know, or they just start blaming him for that as well.
Man, this film feels like Northern Ireland looks. Mostly depressing. Maybe she had a work trip to the other side of the country and drowned. Them not knowing would make sense, because it would be almost impossible to tell if it was an accident, or if she was just overcome by the distress of suddenly being in Uri.
He was cutting sticks with a chainsaw that he didn't know how to use, and there was so much blood, I couldn't stop it, and by the time I got back with a neighbour...
Movie, please. Stop trying to make us laugh.
He was gone.
That's also your fault, Eugene. I do hope you realise that.
Yeah, they need to stop him before he kills again.
If you're here to protest, come back in the morning and speak with Francie.
Too late. Oh well, in the morning, the Watchman's nowhere to be seen, the site's locked up tight, and the cairn's being reconstructed.
Apparently, it was built from the Rock of Ages. Most people would take this as an ominous sign, but these are not most people. They take it as a sign that they'll spend the rest of the day doing fuck all in a field, because they get paid the same regardless.
Eugene has not quite wasted the day though. He's worked out a way to bypass the bypass and save the cairn.
I figured out a way we can bypass it if we just shift everything.
You're an engineer now.
This scene really crystallizes why Eugene feels so lost, why he's unaccomplished in life. His dad claims to support him, but instead of showing love or tolerance or much of anything, he's cold and antagonistic. It's a common enough generational attitude passed on in stoic, gritty, Irish, labour-intensive backgrounds. I'm going to skip forward a little, but check this out. His son is in a van crash, and once he's checked he's okay, he instantly shifts gears back to scorn.
The ship in the fucking van!
From my perspective, that's a really well-observed detail that comes from a very real place.
Do you want to talk about it?
No.
There. So the missing watchman came back.
Charlie, what happened?
I don't know.
You get him off my sick and get him checked out.
And attacked Eugene in the van. Time for that crash. And after some quick and effective build-up, the obvious red shirt does what they do best. And finally, like a long-awaited orgy after about an hour of depressing small talk, we finally get to the action.
They did the monster fuck.
The monster fuck.
It was a graveyard
They
fuck.
did the fuck.
Those monsters sucked and fucked.
They did the fuck.
They did the monster fuck. The beast.
Well, that's a total eclipse of his heart. Stabbed through the heart, and she's to blame. If he only had a heart.
You forgot Heart of Ass by Blondie.
We found Charlie.
Where's the fucker? Is that my new pole?
Nah, Charlie's Irish, and he's worked for you for ages.
Beasts all fucked as the orgy spread. Bigfoot gave the headless horseman head. Swamp Thing jacked up in the castle moat.
That is disgusting.
I took the coke once, and the 6 different scraps didn't feel a thing.
That bastard's just full drunk.
Oh, come on, like, what are we supposed to do about this?
Grab his feet, spin him around, and open a very niche strip club.
It would be like a biblically accurate fidget spinner.
Well, maybe give him back his heart, SP.
Throw it in.
Toss it.
Fuck.
While he's not on drugs, getting him nice and stoned does stop the rampage. Common enough in Northern Irish men in my experience. Alas, the only convenient pile of stones was a perfectly arranged cairn nearby.
Look, we all love to take the piss out of tourists for coming here, yeah? But the night William died, I saw something weird. His blood was getting sucked down into the earth under the cairn like there was something under there drinking it.
So what? The stones were just there to hold him down?
Whose foot's that?
You literally just had a lengthy exchange about how Abhartach is behind it all.
Did you all just fall asleep every time you got to the point in the story where they buried him upside down? Anyway, from the dumbest thing said all film to the smartest thing said all film, and in about 0.07 seconds.
Fuck this, I'm out!
Remember, God! Get in here! What the fuck is going on?
Well, in short, vampires are the fuck going on.
There's a vampire on my set!
Also, William's mum Pauline is the fuck catatonic.
She got worse after the funeral.
William's a vampire and his parents are keeping him the fuck locked up in the house. And George, William's dad, is the guy who turned the night watchman the fuck into a vampire in an effort to stop the bypass.
I had to put a stop to the road. I don't know. It's all a bit fucking mad.
But I think you might know at least some of that. But they've not yet revealed that George has done all that yet, so when that happens, be surprised.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god! Yeah, I think I got it.
You see, the original Abhartach legend doesn't include turning at all. Abhartach himself became a vampire after he died, just because he was evil. which kind of sounds like a cool retirement plan if anyone manages to kill me properly. Anyway, the film came up with its own inventive way to turn people into vampires.
This isn't Dracula. People don't get turned from a fucking bite. They get turned by the stones from Abhartach's grave.
It makes sense that out of all of them, George would be the one to know that. He deals with death daily, Abhartach was on his family's land for generations, so logically, if anyone's going to be a local expert, it would be him.
I love the wallpaper in this place. It's so aggressively quaint. It's like a schoolmarm with a chainsaw.
Like a hotel that's furious to have you staying in it.
Anyway, they're worried that Abhartach's headed to town, so decide to warn the cops, resulting in the best part of the film.
6 Mile Hill, PSNI.
Saw somebody hanging about the town earlier.
Look, alright, got it. So, what did this person look like?
He was tall with dark skin.
That's not a crime, Eugene. We are a welcoming community.
Oh, fuck yes. That is the best part of the film.
Abhartach's design with the dark skin is a very nice touch. He looks like a bog body. It's probably unrealistic for the type of ground he was buried in, but that is literally the only real image we have of dead ancient Irish people, thanks to preservation, thanks to bogs.
They work out that George was behind the watchman's turning because Eugene finds a bottle of the guy's favourite tipper in George's van, which is pretty weak.
Charlie's drink?
Obvious jokes aside, he found a bottle of spirits in an Irishman's van. An Irishman who lost his son is losing his wife and about to lose his home, and they didn't even establish that he doesn't drink beforehand, so the bottle would be out of character.
I'm not gonna let you hurt me.
Okay, I know we've all wanted to shoot Francie at one point or another, but now is not the time.
So now that's out of the bag, they might as well meet William.
Well, any crack?
I wanted to put an end to it, but I couldn't.
Emotionally, yes, but also literally. He doesn't know how to kill him.
You know, this drama with George and Pauline is miles better than anything that Eugene has going on. Pauline is lost to despair and George is driven to horrible extremes because of forces beyond his control. You could even say it's relatable in how it shows the way Irish people handle grief through stories because we suck at actually consoling each other because of that rural stoicism.
How about a cup of tea?
Abhartach has decided to continue where he left off thousands of years ago, wandering through the town and demanding bloody tribute.
Stitches just pop.
This is where we came in 2 months ago. Doesn't time fly when you're having fun?
Grief and small-town pathos have never been so entertaining. Okay, so that's every man's worst fear.
I figured every man's worst fear would be to have your cock turn to Jimmy Savile and then start talking to you about everyone you ever slept with, in the creepy, fucking sing-song voice of his. Morella, she was nice and shaved. We liked her, Chief. Jimmy fixed it for you.
Okay, so pissing blood is every man's second worst fear.
Jesus Christ, George, I've known you for 20 years and you were going to kill me.
I'm sort of offended myself. I haven't even known you that long.
I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Well, for starters, not kill a random guy, try to kill your friends, and lock a vampire up.
You're all right, Trio. You're all right. You're all right. You're all right, Trio. You're dead on. Come on.
That's not your son, though, George. William was a good person.
I never try and weasel over around. Fuck knows if that thing would even buy you a pint.
They all agree that whatever else is going on, they can't keep William locked up down there. Apart from everything else, it'll make it harder to knock the house down. So they decide he has to die.
But, how do we do it?
What about Sunlight? I mean, that is the #1 vampire killer, surely.
Oh, please. Sunlight doesn't even kill vampires in Dracula.
Hammer Horror would disagree.
Talking about the book, Brian!
Yeah, everyone knows Hammer can't read.
What about decapitation? He's hardly going to grow a new fucking head, is he?
No, like when he's right, he's right.
I would say she seems a bit too enthusiastic about beheading her boyfriend, but I've met women from Derry.
Besides, if Antediluvians and Vampire the Masquerade are anything to go by, it'd probably grow another body.
Does that guy really look like an antediluvian?
You're right. Abhartach is the OG vampire. That means William is a second generation when an antediluvians were third generation. That means Abhartach should be more powerful than an antediluvian.
What the fuck is an antediluvian?
In a move that sort of parallels the film itself, everyone decides to stop crying and actually do something, and that something is the running of the vampire. They build an armor path in the house to funnel William to a kill zone, and when he doesn't enter, they bait him with fucking jealousy.
Come to me, Pat.
Where was this energy in the first act?
This suddenly feels like a completely different movie. Maybe they were going for a from dusk till dawn midpoint switch from grounded and dour to B-movie action, or maybe it was lulling us into a false sense of security.
No, this plan was just a rookie mistake from the start. Next time, you lock up the catatonic mother in another room, then you get all armoured up, even cell-tipping books or magazines to your body is better than nothing. Then you shoot him a bunch through the cage, then you poke him with knives attached to really long sticks over and over and over again, and then you pick up all the sharp things you can, you go in there and you finish him off. They were planning on decapitating him, chopping him into millions of pieces, can't leave him any less dead.
I think these guys would find a way.
Goodbye, son. Oh, fuck.
The others manage to ambush William in the morgue, and I love the use of blue for night, St. Patrick's blue to be exact, and they manage to lock him in a coffin, but SP is fatally wounded apparently? Several of them do get hurt during the fight, but he just wanders out, no idea how hurt he really is, sits on the sofa and starts to will himself to die.
Tell me that he was right, will you? He always said I had no ambition and would probably die in front of a telly with a can of beer in my hand.
So defeatist, but so Northern Irish.
He's from the south.
He's gone native.
It's like method acting on par with Daniel Day-Lewis.
At least it's not a heart attack.
You gonna give us any more context for where the fuck they just chucked him? Oh, okay, just a random pet. Fair enough. Oh, worry me! You don't have the stones! Oh, wait, technically you do. Vampire noises!
I don't know what the bloody bodies are supposed to signify. It looks like an average Saturday night in the Holy Lands. Anyway, Abhartach has passed through the town, pulling the blood of the people behind him, heading home to feed.
I've asked him where we're going to Ma's house. That was his lair. That's why there were so many bones in the ground, like.
Now, you might think it's a bit contrived that Eugene's house was built right on top of Abhartach's old gaff, but I'd remind you, this is a very small country.
You can see my house in some of these shots, and I live on the other side of it.
If I'd been in the ground that long, I'd just want to sit in the house and drink as well.
Of course you would.
You know, you could be wrong. Maybe your mum was a serial killer. But on the other hand, if they are wrong, they can't just follow Abhartach's blood trail. It's like Danny the Street finally got their period. So father and son head home to finish the job, to face Abhartach. Without Louisa Harland, because she had to look after her family, or had to do some Derry Girls reshoots. Or they're setting up a father and son defeating evil together thing. It's probably the third one.
I would agree, Eugene and Francie, the dysfunctional family, are left facing their demons together. Not just their unhealthy relationship, but also the mother's death and Abhartach himself. Unfortunately, it's all sort of muddy and not that clear if that's what they're actually going for.
Mum's maiden name, Khan.
She always said she had teeth and blood. Suppose that means you do as well.
Oh yes, it turns out that Eugene's a direct descendant, one of the guys who maybe killed Abhartach a couple of thousand years ago. It had to be Cahan, not Finn McCool, because Eugene's too short. Wouldn't be believable. Really not sure why they chose to bring in the vaguely eugenics-ish special blood bollocks 15 minutes from the end, but I'm sure it'll be important.
Bet it won't.
I was being sarcastic.
What the fuck are you at?
I thought you were giving me a hug.
What are you, 5 years of age? Your arm's bleeding. Come here.
Yeah, I guess that means Abby's home. Quick, hide the golf clubs. There might be a guy called Joel squatting.
What the fuck is that?
Now, this is a turn up for the books, beautifully subverting expectations. Eugene is the lead, he's being positioned to defeat Abhartach. He even has that special heroic blood, but nope, his dad's not going to let him put himself in danger.
Hey, boy.
Hold! Hard Enterprises, please hold.
Well, that was anticlimactic.
You see, his dad does care, even if it's expressed in his own language of physical abuse. Punches his son asleep, slaps him awake, thwacks him to show he's glad he's still alive. Nothing he can't say or do with a cheeky wee slap.
You fainted.
Really feels like you punched me.
Why in the name of Jesus would I punch you? Anyway, it's over. You're safe. I got the fucker.
I love how shit Abhartach looks. Literally. The very definition of a bug body. Ah! Is it too soon to suggest that they'll leg it? After much wailing and gnashing of teeth.
Where's the leg?
Eugene hits on another plan.
We need to get him into the sun.
That is an excellent plan, but there are a couple of flaws. One, there's no sun in Ireland. And two, there's no sun in Ireland.
I realize that technically speaking that's only one flaw, but I thought it was such a big one it was worth mentioning twice.
Good point, well made.
Just get back there.
Francie really is the picture of Dorian Gray. He's absorbing all the damage that doesn't kill Abhartach. Anyway, enough about the father, back to the son. Luckily, this is a movie and realism isn't required.
Burn, you bastard!
Abhartach kind of looks like Davros in a hippie phase.
Oh, shit!
As though he needs to make space for Eugene and Francie to put their heads together, Abhartach starts beating up the set.
I think he hates what they've done to the place.
Oh fuck, Eugene somehow made the house look worse than it did 3,000 years ago.
So how better to put Abhartach back in the ground than by recreating the myth, stab him in the heart and bury him. Unfortunately, however, the choice of things to stab him with are a little limited.
Okay, if this had a higher budget, he'd have totally brought the house down on top of him, and that's why Abhartach was attacking the pillars. It was a setup to an ending that had to be cut. Are we agreed?
Yeah, probably. Him building a new house would line up with him building a new life, so I wonder what everyone else in the town is going to think happened last night. Extreme sherry hangovers, and did the blood just go back into them?
Because, ew.
Yeah. They don't know where that blood's been!
Oh, I forgot about this. Louisa Harlan put her mother in a loader's bucket and drove her out of town to try and get her away from Abhartach's zone of influence. Well, she tried.
The important thing is that she left Abhartach for the men folks to deal with.
How's it going?
Months later, Eugene's finally got some direction in life. Not by leaving town, but instead staying and guarding Abhartach, keeping everyone safe for... wait.
Is that Dream Warriors?
I was wondering how long it would take you to notice that.
That must have cost them a bit.
Yeah, about as much as it would cost to fake a house getting collapsed on a vampire's head, probably.
To be fair, they made the right choice.
Yeah, they did. Seeing as Eugene's staying, Louisa Harlan stepped in and nicked his story arc, which he'd inherited from William, getting out of town and going to Australia.
Gonna have a great time. Show the Aussies how it's done.
Yeah, maybe she can skip out of the finale of a Wolf Creek movie. You know, I bet if enough people had died, then Francie's leg would have been given the plane ticket. And that's The Boys from County Hell. It's slow, it takes its time, it has an air of sadness. It's very well made, mostly well acted, spectacular dialogue, and overall is a lot of fun. It's so much fun that I never even noticed that there's only one pub in this entire town. I'm not kidding when I say this, it's one of the most accurate depictions of an Irish myth ever put on screen. That doesn't sound too impressive because its main rivals are the Leprechaun films and anything with a banshee, but still! Wait a sec, I just thought of something extra. I think George and William are descendants of Abhartach to mirror Eugene being a descendant of Hagan. In the myth, Abhartach owned the land. George owns the land. Abhartach became a vampire. William became a vampire.
Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
I quite like the superstition of the bypass disturbing the land of an ancient evil that the town seems to believe in, even if they won't outwardly admit it. It does have that thematic component of how resistant Irish locals are to their land being demolished to make way for modernity. We have this immense heritage of protecting and preserving the somewhat sacred purity of Irish land, and that's without touching the broader political issues. It's actually kind of similar to one of the plot elements in Hot Fuzz, where Nicholas Angel thinks the village wants to stop the construction of a bypass because it'll disturb the localness of it, which itself takes influence from the inherent xenophobia of rural isolated villages, which was darkly lampooned in the League of Gentlemen. What I'm saying is, the catalyst to the vampire's awakening is contextually appropriate to the setting and culture, even if it doesn't directly make a point of it. Anyway, despite an intriguing threat and endearing potential, I personally don't think The Boys of County Hell digs deep enough into its genre or narrative to unearth the substance needed to elevate it beyond a fun, albeit modestly generic creature feature. I'll admit I'm much harsher because one of my pet peeves with Northern Irish humour is that it's so heavily reliant on local mannerisms and the accent to make up for the lack of wit or ingenuity in its characters. It makes for a fun Friday night viewing, and when the action does get going, there is some legitimately decent fragments of horror and comedy. However, I'm left longing for more ambition, even if I'll concede it is an unfair demand from a film that's still unquestionably made with passion.
And as I say at the end of all my reviews, until next time, stay safe, stay away from YouTubers in hotel rooms, and now can you two politely get the fuck out of here?
Oh, no, we can't. The deep magic has not yet been sated. The transaction is not yet complete.
Transaction?
Yes. We have to do your review.
What do you mean my review? You did not tell me I had to do my review. You didn't tell me I had to do your review.
Deep magic. You are going to review Megan is Missing over on your YouTube channel, and you can watch it there now. Thanks for watching the review. And if you enjoyed it, please feel free to subscribe, or if you want to support the show, you can head over to patreon.com/DemonDeHagan. There you can get early access, see exclusive videos, make requests, and join the Discord. If you're already a patron, then thank you for the support. And leave a comment if you like. YouTube likes it when people talk.